Full disclosure, I do not own this song. Winnemucca, Nevada is a small town with a population of 8,431 that rests off of Interstate 80. This is a town that most of you have probably never heard of, but it is noted in the very first line of Johnny Cash's song, I've Been Everywhere.
Back along the dusty Winnemucca Road.
And this really got me thinking. If we looked through the entire song, which places would we find? And can we prove his claims that he's really been everywhere? So, getting started, we've already discussed that he's been to Winnemucca, which is in Nevada, so we can cross that off. Now, let's dive into the first verse.
I've been to Reno, Chicago, Fargo, Minnesota.
Right off the bat, we get 3 cities and 1 new state. So we'll be doing this by state. So since Reno is also in Nevada, it won't count as a new state, but Chicago will count for Illinois, Fargo for North Dakota, and Minnesota for Minnesota. Let's keep going.
Buffalo, Toronto, Winslow, Sarasota.
4 more cities, and most importantly, we go international for the first time. We have Buffalo, New York, Toronto, Ontario in Canada, Winslow, Arizona, and Sarasota, Florida.
Wichita, Tulsa, Ottawa, Oklahoma.
4 more cities, 2 new states. We cover Kansas with Wichita and Oklahoma in general, with Tulsa mentioned specifically. Ontario is also visited again, with Ottawa. However, it is with this line we learn a distinction. When Cash lists a city and a state immediately after, we now know that they are separate entities, as Ottawa is not a city within Oklahoma. Trust me, this will be important later.
Tampa, Panama, Mattawa, La Paloma.
So here's where things get interesting. Tampa is a large city in Florida, and La Paloma is a city in southern Texas, so that's easy. However, we now include Panama, an entire country in Central America. Big stuff off the board. We also get Mattawa. Now, there is a Mattawa in Ontario, Canada, with a population of 1,993, and a Mattawa in Washington State with a population of 3,335. Here is where we'll have to do some geographical tiebreakers. I will consult the genius explanation of this track, and whichever Mattawa they pick is what we acknowledge. And the winner is Ontario. All right, moving on.
Bangor, Baltimore, Salvador, Amarillo.
Bangor, Maine, Baltimore, Maryland, Salvador, Brazil, and Amarillo, Texas. Simple. New country, moving on.
Tocopilla, Barranquilla, and Padilla, Amagilla.
Whoa! Not only does Johnny Cash admit to a crime in this line, but he even lists 3 new cities in 2 new countries. Chile and Colombia are added to the picture. Now we're done with verse 1, and so far we've been to 12 US states, Canada, Colombia, Brazil, Chile, and Panama. Not looking so good for his claims that he's been everywhere, but let's press on to verse 2.
I've been to Boston, Charleston, Dayton, Louisiana.
Boom, that's 4 new states. We had Massachusetts, South Carolina, Ohio, and Louisiana.
Washington, Houston, Kingston, Texarkana.
Washington here refers to the capital of the US, not the state. Texarkana straddles the border of Texas and Arkansas, so we get a new state there, otherwise nothing new.
Monterey, Faraday, Santa Fe, Tallapoosa.
California, Ontario again, New Mexico, and Georgia. We're really starting to fill up the map now.
Glen Rock, Black Rock, Little Rock, Oskaloosa.
Glen Rock adds New Jersey, and Oskaloosa adds Iowa. Black Rock is in Arizona, and Little Rock is in Arkansas.
Tennessee, Chicopee, Spirit Lake.
Chicopee is in Massachusetts, and Spirit Lake is in Iowa, so nothing new there. However, Tennessee is interesting. By default, one of these refers to the state of Tennessee. However, the other Tennessee, as established before, is a bit of a mystery. After a while, I gave up my research and decided on Tennessee, Illinois, a small town with a population of 101 on the western edge of Illinois. Moving on.
Grand Lake, Devil's Lake, Crater Lake, Beach Lake.
Grand Lake adds Colorado, Devil's Lake is in North Dakota, Crater Lake adds Oregon, and Pete's Lake doesn't appear to be a town anywhere on the world map, but I am very glad he's dedicated this song in Pete's sake's honor. We're at the halfway point, and we are moving on.
I've been to Louisville, Nashville, Knoxville, Omaha.
Out of all of these, Louisville is the only city earning us a new state, that of Kentucky. Nashville and Knoxville are both in Tennessee, and Omaha is in Ontario.
Shefferville, Jacksonville, Waterville, Costa Rica.
Shefferville, Quebec, Jacksonville, Florida, Waterville, Ohio, but Costa Rica joins the fray. Another country, a big milestone.
Pittsfield, Springfield, Bakersfield, Shreveport.
And here's the dagger. We gain nothing new from this line. Massachusetts, Illinois, California, and Louisiana. Not looking good for the everywhere crowd.
Hackensack, Cadillac, Fond du Lac, Davenport.
Cadillac, Michigan gives us Michigan. The rest do not contribute anything new.
Idaho, Jellicoe, Argentina, Diamantina.
Idaho, state, added. Argentina, country, added. Jellicoe is in Tennessee, and the other one is in Brazil.
Pasadena, Catalina, see what I mean?
No, I don't see what you mean, These last two are both in California, which adds nothing new. We have only one verse left, and I don't think we'll be able to cover everywhere in this short amount of time. But let's press on, you never know.
I've been to Pittsburgh, Parkersburg, Gravelburg, Colorado.
Out of all of these, we gain Pennsylvania, but all the other locations are from states we have previously visited.
Ellensburg, Rexburg, Vicksburg, El Dorado.
Washington State and Mississippi are new states. Idaho and Arkansas are revisited.
Larimore, Atmore, Haverstraw, Chattanooga.
North Dakota, Oklahoma, New York State, and Alaska. One more new state on the board, Alaska.
Shasta, Nebraska, Alaska, Opelika.
Okay, I've got some issues here. You literally just went to Alaska with Chattanooga in the last line. Why mention it again? You gotta cover all the bases here, not keep going back to the same states. Anyway, Chaska is in Minnesota, Nebraska is a brand new state, Alaska we just covered, and Opelika is in Alabama. Still adding more states, but bringing Alaska back in just seemed like a mistake.
Baraboo, Waterloo, Kalamazoo, Kansas City.
Wisconsin, new. Iowa, boo. Michigan, boo. Missouri, new.
Sioux City, Cedar City, Dodge City, what a pity.
South Dakota is new. Utah is new. Kansas is not new. Indeed, what a pity. All right, now it's time for the, Oh, that's the end of the song. All right, now that everything is all squared away, let's check if Johnny Cash has truly been everywhere. In terms of the United States, Johnny Cash claims to have visited, according to this song, 38 different states. Not half bad. Most of the states he missed are on the East Coast, but I'm most surprised that he missed states like Indiana and Virginia. Not too surprised by missing Hawaii and Wyoming, though. Most surprising state he visited was probably Alaska. Or New Jersey. That place is dangerous. And on a worldwide scale, Johnny Cash claims to have visited 8 countries around the world, including the United States. While he spent a lot of time in Canada, it should be noted that he never visited Mexico, which I find the most surprising out of all the international options. So, looking at this chart, it becomes very evident that Johnny Cash has not visited every country on Earth. Even being general with the term everywhere, we can conclude that Johnny Cash, based solely on this song, has only visited 2 continents. Therefore, we can conclude that Johnny Cash has not, in fact, been everywhere. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like,